provide you my meaningful sex educational content, fitness, health, nutrition, relationship advice, and more. And hi guys, and welcome to Geri Reviews and to this review and live reaction of the first day of the Warhammer Fest. And the first day is Warhammer 40k, so I'm here waiting like you guys to see this live and see what is going to be revealed. I apologize for my voice, but I do have a cold, so yeah, we are waiting here. And if you hear something, it's just my fluffy puppy who is outraged that someone is passing close to the door. Just gotta move my mic a bit. So yes, and happy Star Wars Day as well. We just had the Obi-Wan trailer premiere. I just covered that as well. So Warhammer, Star Wars, all those things. And well, Dan, hi to you too. We'll see what's gonna be. Hi Alex, you too. Yeah. Primaris, well, yeah, I always like Primaris. Dear Clyde, dear, I hi to you guys. So I am like 2 minutes early. Hopefully they also start on time. I'm personally excited for any reveals that are connected to the games and the tabletop games, the other games. Like Space Marine 2. And well, yeah, I don't know when they're going to announce the new books that are coming. Because I am excited about the new continuation of the story, hopefully, of the lore. But we'll see if that even happens. I'm just not sure when the Black Library part is. Is it going to be now or in some of the other days? I'm most interested in this day in particular. For me, this is like the biggest deal. So yeah, unless something else happens on the other days. But like for instance, I don't cover Age of Sigmar, so I can't comment on that really. On the 6th of May is Doctor Strange Day for me, so I'll probably not be able to cover anything happening there. So yeah, this is the most important day today. And it's my name day. So the celebration is going to be going to the movie, seeing Doctor Strange. So yeah, it's kind of like a Marvel day, you can say. Stream is okay. Thank you, dear Clyde. Yes, I do have to know if you can hear the event when that starts. Right now you should just hear the background music. The Veil of Iron 2, well. We'll see you guys right now. Right now I am listening to this novel that I want to cover. Just let me check the exact name of it. Thrall of Light. And I'm waiting for something to happen. So far, Gilliman's there, so there's that. There's something about the Black Templars that I want to get to, so we'll see. Here we are. It's Helios. Hey.
My name is Adam Trope. I'm joined by my friend and colleague Eddie Eccles, and we're coming to you live from the Rock.
Awesome.
It's a pleasure to be here as always. We're just super excited to talk to you about Warhammer. We've got loads of cool stuff to show you. We've got some cool models.
Yeah, devotes a positive.
Cool expansions.
Welcome to the 9th edition. 10th edition.
Absolutely. Over the next 4 days.
Thank you, Dad.
We are going to
We'll see.
deep into Warhammer. Today is Warhammer 40,000.
Can you hear the stream?
Check. Friday, for Super in the future, is all of our box games and extra things. So from Kill Team to
I don't play the tabletop, so yeah, Friday.
Wonderful. And then on Saturday is a very special day. We're going to be talking all about the horus heresy.
Oh, that's also a tabletop. Thank you.
Absolutely so. And of course, these
How
things
about
would
now?
not be the same without all of you joining us. As I look on my screen next to me, there are already more than 20,000 people in the chat from all around the world joining in this very special Warhammer Fest 4 days. You could almost call it a week. So thank you so much for turning up and being part of this. My favourite thing at this time of any given live online broadcast is to ask where you're tuning in from. So if you are able to bash in your coordinates
I just
coordinates.
changed my
Let's not
own,
get too specific.
changed my own
Let me know
sound
what
too.
part of this wonderful world you are joining us from. And already the chat has gone mad.
Let me know how it
Sweden,
is,
the
my
USA,
sound.
Plymouth, but there's 2 Plymouths, one in America and one in the US, and it's gone by so fast I lost it.
Testing,
Tokyo,
testing.
Japan, that's amazing. France, Austria, New Hampshire, USA, Wisconsin. People saying hello, people shouting their favourite war bands. Somebody shouted Mars, which is clearly not true.
There's nothing quite as satisfying as typing in the place you are in all caps and then pressing send.
You've got to love it. Look, it is amazing. It always delights me throughout my time in the Warhammer hobby to travel the world and meet people who love the same stuff I do. And right now, there's loads of us all in the same digital space. So thank you so much for joining us.
Doing my best, guys.
So,
And it's so cold. So cold.
Yeah, I'll take it. Yeah, so
outside it's like 20
degrees.
degrees. Here it's like,
so we've got
I
some
don't know,
videos, we've got some pictures,
15.
some images of some cool new models. We've got some stuff that's maybe we're going to tell you about rather than show you some stuff, but there's plenty of good stuff to sink your teeth into. So we'll show you some stuff. Me and Adam will get excited about it. You can get excited about
Show
it too.
us stuff, yes.
And then we'll look at something else. You can follow all the action here on Twitch, or if you want to, you can follow along on the Warhammer community website as well, which is going to have high-quality pictures of all the stuff we're showing today as well. So.
Yes, so don't feel the particular need to, unless you especially like this sort of thing, screen grab something as a video is playing. Lovely pictures will be available on warhammercommunity.com, and you can follow along there as well.
Okay.
Right, so we've got a few minutes before we're going to get into the main thing, or people are still letting us know where they're from, which is extremely delightful. Daka Flacker Flame is from their living room, an extremely nice place to join us from, I have no doubt. But I wondered, Eddie, since last we were in this place, what hobby have you done?
What hobby have I done? Oh, okay, cool. So I think I've pretty much finished my orc army. I'm pretty happy with them. I've got one of everything.
Okay. I think we are all here
Still add
for the freaking news.
now have more units now.
Get to the news, please.
I'm pretty happy with that. Made a start on a Eldari army.
Seen the conversions on
I'm
Twitter.
quite having fun with them. I'm going to do like a Sam Han kind of Wild Rider host. They're quite
Oh,
fun.
Dark, are you
And
fan
then
of the
I've got
Inquisition?
about 5 Age of Sigmar armies that I keep like flitting between. And I'm also eyeing up that new Underworlds box set with the Eshin in. Right up my alley.
Everybody that I
Actually, is there any other Inquisitor except Isaac Horn and Martyr from the games
I
that
was very jealous. I didn't
is
get a chance to
famous?
pick mine up, but
I feel like I was left out.
since
That's a
this
good
copy's
question
like
because
100 meters that
I'm
way,
not sure
I might
myself.
pick one
Go
up on
via
the
the
way out.
Warhammer
Yeah, I might.
store. Excellent work.
How about yourself, Adam? What have you been
Well,
doing?
so in March, in a futile effort to out McCrag Nick Baton of
Can't be done.
Warhammer
Can't be done.
TV's Battle Report fame, I painted a squad of heavy intercessors.
I really hope that you don't hear my puppy
actually.
that much.
I've gone
Goldie!
all the way up to there. All the transfers are
Goldie!
lovely, but I didn't do the weathering. So
Goldie,
I
what?
think it counts.
Ewa, Goldie.
In time, and then just last weekend,
Ewa,
I painted
Goldie.
18 more goblins from
Goldie,
the Goblin
Goldie.
Army to attend a Middle-earth strategy battle game tournament in London, which was ace.
Cool. Yeah, well, let us know what you've been doing if you're in the chat as well. If you've been going to any cool tournaments recently, or finished any exciting projects, or you just want to, type in all.
Oh,
caps your
come
favourite army.
on, don't
They're all
pretend
great
you
quality.
care.
Let us know what you're up
Just
to.
put on the freaking
That is good.
news.
Somebody says, I wonder if we'll see any Warhammer minis today. I reckon you
Oh,
will.
one of the mugs, yes.
Odds are good. Odds
Oh
are
my
good.
goodness, it's all started. Somebody said they're working on wolf spears. Somebody else says
Thank you, James
salamanders, harlequins. Somebody Mrs. Rattlings. Just like a never-ending
hope my
capital
nose
thing. Somebody said
gets
Dark
better
Angels.
with the
I
tea.
agree. That's mega. You got Black Templars. Just so many people are getting involved. I'm going to ask the third member of our broadcast team. He's off to the side and he never gets in on the action. Raf, have you done any hobby lately?
Yeah, I've painted a bunch of Necrons.
Raf has been painting at Necrons. Of course, we should give a little shout out to the moderation team. We
Make
have
some
Molly
Necron
and the moderation
figures,
in the chat,
for
making
goodness
sure that
sakes.
everything flows
And I do mean
smoothly.
action figures.
A couple of bits of bookkeeping, then we should look to maybe kick this thing off.
Say to
for real. First of all,
McFarlane,
if you want to chat
Hey,
in the
just
chat,
make
you
the
can do.
Emperor.
You just need to be a subscriber. You can
I mean, the
either
Primarchs
subscribe
as a
using
whole.
an Amazon Prime subscription, or click the buttons and use the other thing, or you can just join in for the ride. It's entirely up to you. We will try and answer
Anyone know
questions as we go
also
along, so I keep an eye
Karamazov?
out to
Oh!
the right as we go.
I think I've heard of
But
Karamazov at
there
least.
is 26,000 of you, and the questions do go pretty fast. So Eddie and I have looked at the stuff. I've got some
That's
questions
interesting.
primed and ready to ask Eddie
Dark.
already, but please do your best.
I may
As we
do
go
a
along,
top
and I'll see
10
what I can do.
Inquisitors.
Somebody says you don't need a sub
Just
to
have
chat.
to research
Good
those
gracious.
guys.
Well, behave yourselves, please.
Wow.
Right.
All in.
Quite so. Let me just check the show notes, and then we are ready for action. So at 5 past, which has just gone, we're going to show our first video. With no further ado, we'll see you after this.
Woohoo! Oh boy! Oh! A lot of tabletop chaos. Oh boy, though. Yeah. So I guess if you're a tabletop fan, that should be super cool, like the coolest thing. Those are pretty well done. They would make a great statues, you know, if they were bigger scale. It's perfect. Okay.
The Chaos Space Marines have a very catchy motto, don't they?
They've got all the best mottos. Kill, maim, burn, let the galaxy burn, death to the false emperor. They get all the best lines.
That's pretty cool, Dark.
What a video already I can see behind us.
You can always leave me your top 10 in the comments. I would totally appreciate it.
What is that in block caps? Whew, where do we begin?
Yeah, so this is a pretty substantial range update addition for Chaos Space Marines. They've been waiting very patiently for a very long time, almost 10,000 years, for some new kits to drop, and we've got absolute smorgasbord of stuff on the way. I think there's loads of really cool stuff coming, in addition to some of the exciting kits we've already seen this year. So they've had a few kits already. We've had the new Warpsmith, the new Chosen, and things like that. But the range really explodes in the coming months, basically. So one of the stars of the show are the new Chaos Space Marine Possessed. So Possessed have been part of the lore and the IP of Chaos Space Marines for absolutely ages. These are basically Space Marines, traitor Space Marines, who've given themselves over to the dark powers of Chaos and have let a demon inhabit their form, which gives them all sorts of benefits of like talons and powers and ungodly strength and things like that, but also kind of damns their soul. But you know, what's the price to pay?
Inquisitors have their own novel like Isengard, so
you do get to be mega in
actually is there any other novel like that of Isengard?
So one of the nice things about these new probably the wrong word, one of the cool things about these new Possessed is they are huge, right? So Chaos Space Marines are slightly shorter in height than their Primaris foes, but you can see these guys are considerably bigger than the Chaos Space Marines. So those are on Terminator-sized bases.
Yep,
that's also very
bases
familiar
for those
to me.
who ask. There's always somebody.
There is always someone. So you go 40mm bases, but they stand kind of shoulder to shoulder with something like a Gravis Space Marine. So these are big Space Marines. You can see one of them there is standing on the fallen body of a Primaris Ultramarine, so you get a sense of like how big these guys are, but they are hefty kits. They've also got like absolutely loads of options, so you can see that you can make them kind of gribbly in a tentacly way. They've got some gribbly in a kind of weird crab demony sort of way. There's some chaos flames. There's plenty of spikes. There's all sorts of like weird
plenty of spikes
faces. And these are usable by any of the traitor legions as well. So you can kind of lean them into a Cornate or a Slaneshi or a Iron Warrior-y or a Empress Children-y sort of angle. You can use them in all sorts of different ways. So there's just a really high time for a really great multi-part plastic Possessed kit, and this is
just a bummer that they're not like bigger size statues. Really,
by any means, the only
they just
thing
look
we saw
so
in
epic.
That epic video. There are these fellows. Who are these?
So these are Chaos Cultists. They'll be very familiar to anyone who has had a Chaos army at any point over the last decade or so. So these are the chaff of the Chaos Hordes, and this is basically the troops that the Chaos Space Marines send in when they don't want to take the bullets themselves. In game terms, they are sort of on a par with something like a Guardsman or a Genestealer Cultist. They're not exceptional warriors, but they do attack kind of en masse, so you get plenty of hordes of the lost and damned, basically. But the new kit's really nice. You've got loads of options in there. You can see there's all sorts of different helmets and options, and a very kind of ununiform look to them, so they're definitely not
and hi, either of chickens.
These are the fallen civilians and soldiers of a world
blood bags of corn.
Chaos, and they've kind of brought with them whatever weapons they can. So you can see a mix of auto guns and bolt pistols and chains and sickles and hammers, and one guy's just got like a stick covered in nails.
I mean, a stick covered in nails looks like it will get it done. These match really nicely with the Cultists of the Abyss that we saw in Blackstone Fortress, which is a really nice thing. And there's quite an eclectic mix here. All praise to the cultist rocking the dad bod. As a person who
right there
rocks one in the real world.
Absolutely.
I'm you don't need to be ripped with a six-pack to
absolute chaos will take you. You
oh,
don't
come
need to
on!
hit the gym recently. You can,
it's a fictional universe.
Faith in the chaos gods, they'll happily.
Why would you want to watch someone with a dad bod? especially the figure.
But of course, there are more cultists, and these might be the most disturbed models so far. But we haven't seen the next slide yet, so who knows? So accursed cultists. So this is a new thing for Chaos Space Marines. These guys have sort of been a part of the IP for Chaos Space Marines for absolutely ages. The idea that you've got warriors within the cults which have kind of succumb even more to the power and the temptations of the dark gods, and they've basically started to be overcome with mutations. So unlike something like the Chaos Space Marines, who are kind of stronger will and stronger body and can kind of control the rampaging demonic energies inside them, these guys definitely can't, right? So they've got like all sorts of weird mutations and figures. And you can see the power of chaos is
thanks to Matty, one of my privates. So here to Matty. He's not here now, but thanks to him, I was able to get just before the stream almost Primaris, Dark Angel,
and they hit much harder in combat
McFarlane figure. So you can imagine action figures are my thing, not tabletop figures are too small for my enjoyment. So I prefer the bigger action figures. Again, they're articulated. I can put them in many different poses. So I ordered that. I hope in a month I get it.
And in terms of body
from the
horror,
US, so that's my dream. My
like
first 40k figure. It's a Dark Angel Captain.
Somebody else said,
I'm so happy.
Exactly as they should be, and I completely agree. The stuff of that primordial destroy, chaos and all of it sort of warping, corrupting power is just horrible and awesome.
And, I don't have
and they're not leaning too strongly into any one particular chaos
or figures
either,
much, so I'm only getting the most important things if I ever do.
Traitor Legions of Chaos, so you can imagine these guys painted up quite nicely in a Nurgly sort of colour scheme or a very kind of bloody cornate colour scheme.
I did cover the
like
McFarlane
I think there's a nice little nod
new
with
release
some
of figures, some Chaos Marines too. Just the other day, so if you haven't watched that, it's here.
The 13th Black Crusade.
That's the one. I think you're always encouraged to kind of create kits yourself using lots of different bits, but these guys actually,
of course, they are dark.
Straight out of
I
the
think
box,
we all know that.
With all the kind of horrible chaos mutations you could hope for.
Yeah.
The Darker ones will be the most disgusting.
Eddie paints on a 4-up says, Eddie, I've got one of your Dark Elder models you left in Warhammer Glasgow. If you want it back, get in touch. So there you go.
Next time I'm up, I'll pick it up.
There you go. Maybe leave it behind the counter and Eddie will visit.
I mean, the guys from the stream, like...
Oh, there is more, even more disturbed. What are accursed cultist torments?
They're more disturbed, yes, but we want to see something else, like gaming trailers, something!
You've got these things called torments, which are basically
Making
where the
book
demonic
novels
power
reveals.
inside the cultist has just completely overrode
I would love that.
The cultist. And you can see this like
those are amazing. Don't get me wrong.
Of the original cultist that the demon had kind of taken possession of in amongst them, but the demon is very much in control at this point. So you can see the kind of glowing eyes of the demon as kind of ripped forth out of the host body almost, and they are just like the absolutely weirdest looking things. So these guys go around with the accursed cultist unit. They're all one big, I want to say happy family, it's probably not quite the right term.
A very disturbing unit.
One big unit, and these guys add the real combat punch. So they're somewhere between a cultist and a chaos spawn in terms of combat, but they've got high strength, high
when they are loyal, when they are loyalists or when they're chaos.
Take chunks out of a vehicle or something like that. They're a pretty hefty combat unit, but they mean that your cultist army, if you want to lean into the idea of that vast host of fallen mortals to chaos, you can really do it. And these guys add the kind of real combat punch to their army.
So how do these differ to Chaos Spawn? It's a question I saw come up in the chat, and I think it's a fair question.
So I think they definitely in that kind of, it's probably a spectrum of everything from just got my first chaos tattoo all the way to Chaos Spawn. The difference really is that these guys are still have that living.
I'm gonna be back in a second, guys.
So sure, it's a possession rather than
so you can still see the eyes of the demon. You can see that the actual demon itself is starting to manifest through the flesh of this particular unfortunate. Whereas a Chaos Spawn, sometimes you can become a Chaos Spawn just by having the gifts of chaos be a little bit too generous to you, without necessarily having a demon inside.
Spawnhood awaits anybody who does too well too quickly and can't handle the gifts that are bestowed upon them, or just epically fails at some point. And then
pretty much
turned into one. In fact, you see one of the Chaos Space Marines in Plague Song on Warhammer TV get turned into a spawn for blowing his mission, and it's the worst thing I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah,
Just horrendous.
There's very. I think most of the people who set out on the path to chaos will either die or turn into a chaos spawn, and a very small number will make it to the chaos lord or demon prince level. But I like the idea of the chaos spawn that happen when the god is actually just too generous. And they're like, "Oops, gave you too many gifts. Ah, well, I guess you're a giant fly now."
Enjoy your new unlife. We've got one more
I
thing.
hope it's not only figures today, guys.
Here are the Dark Commune. Eddie, we can sort of start to guess what they are, but tell us about the Dark Commune.
So the Dark Commune are a HQ choice for Chaos Space Marines, and what they are basically is your cultist leaders. Mm-hmm. So when Chaos Space Marines attack a world, or a world rises up in the name of chaos, quite often there are the leaders of the insurrection, the demagogues, the kind of fallen psychers. This is they, basically. So you've got the kind of middle left there is your kind of leader. He's your kind of cult leader. You've got the guy top right who is your psyker, and what you can't quite tell, what you can't quite tell from that picture is going on is that is the still living head of a chaos mutant psyker carried around in a slightly symbiotic relationship with a cultist who he's using as a life support system.
A living head.
A host who may or may
that's
not
you
be
to me.
entirely willing. And if you look, all the pipes sort of go into them, so they're being sort of.
You gotta love the craziness of Warhammer.
Of their host. It's gross and awesome.
It's properly grim.
So what we have here, just to give you the rundown, you've got the cult demagogue, which is sort of centre left. You've got the Iron Ark, which is the one with the enormous banner. It's one of the coolest banners you've ever seen. And then you've got the Mind Witch, which is the one bearing the distended psyche head. Then you have Blessed Blades, which are the sort of robed sword bearers flanking them.
Yeah, they all
so
look
imagine
pretty
if they
cool.
were doing some kind of weird chaos congregation.
I mean, in general, the designs are
nuts. So if anyone expressed any views against the rise of chaos, they might swiftly behead them and put their head on the altar somewhere.
How much do you love chaos? Oh, quite a lot. Not enough.
Not enough. I'll take that head. Thanks very much. But I think what's really cool about these guys is, again, they've been part of this lore of Warhammer 40,000 for ages. This idea of like a chaos cult that rises up, and now you can properly have that in your game. So lots of the Chaos Traitor Legions will have really strong cultist followings as part of their IP. So you've got something like Word Bearers or Alpha Legion, which have this huge cultist following, and a lot of the time they will take to the field with like not very many Chaos Space Marines, but vast amounts of these kind of cultist chaff, and the Chaos Space Marines kind of wade in afterwards and clean up the mess. That's not to say that you can't absolutely still do an army that is all about Chaos Space Marines, but if you want to lean into that kind of cultist rabble, that kind of Lost and the Damned feel, you definitely can.
Yeah, absolutely. And it meshes really nicely with things like, I always think of Storm of Iron when I think of Chaos Cultists, which is a brilliant Black Library novel by Graham McNeill. Check it out if you haven't read it. But an Iron Warriors sort of grand company turns up to besiege this.
Well, at least I'm getting a
new
view.
Thousands of dregs.
You know,
they just hurl at the guns for days
towards the tabletop. So.
The Iron Warriors themselves commit to the fight. So
I love to know stuff, even if I don't.
Having fought these abominations, and it's been easy, but it's been horrible and like tiring. And then the Iron Warriors roll in, and I think you're going to be able to do that properly with your Chaos Space Marine army now. Oh, here we go.
Yeah, so here's the Chaos Space Marines mixed in with the current range in all their glory. And I think what's nice about this picture is that you get a sense of how big some of these models are. So you can see the Possessed at the front of the battle shot there, and you can see them standing next to the...
how much money do you have to give for this? Like,
taller.
Thousands?
These are big models. Another thing you could obviously now do is lean really heavily into that kind of Possessed angle for your Chaos Space Marines. So if you wanted a really thematic... Word Bearers, I think, have done very well.
You can make a whole movie with these figures, like stop motion. Well, they're not articulated, but still.
Thematic-looking Word Bearers force.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the idea of a Master of Possession sort of leading all this rabble.
Cultist army versus a Justilar Cult Wars. That's gonna be actually super cool. I love to see that.
I think most of it is
great idea, Eater of Chickens.
Yeah, there might be some alternate sculpts of some of those cultists and things mixed in amongst them.
And a Forge World is getting bashed about pretty harshly as a result. Okay, so of course. This is Warhammer Fest Warhammer 40,000 Day. We are not done yet.
It's not just Chaos Space Marine Day. I'd be happy, to be honest, if it was just more Chaos Space Marines. That would be okay with me.
Well, let's have a small break while we look at this.
Break? No!
This is Imperial Chopper. Welcome back. You asked for it? We got it. The latest chopper concept from the leagues of Votann. Presenting the Hernkin Pioneer.
Whoa.
Unparalleled comfort makes you feel like you're floating on air. Because you are. Smooth lines and an open canopy let the wind whip through your totally awesome coat. All that and some
Interesting.
hellacious firepower. The Hernkin
Yeah, some of
Pioneer.
your areas
From
are
the
costing
leagues
thousands.
of
That wow.
Votann. You're out of their
You
league.
can still sell them probably if you wish someday. I mean that these things don't get cheaper.
That was pretty awesome and quite unexpected, unless maybe you knew the running order of what we had going on.
And do you play
This
often?
is
Because
a
if you
Hernkin
invest in that, you
Pioneer.
have
It's
to
part
use
of
it.
the Leagues of Votann. Eddie, what do you know?
So absolutely, this is a Hernkin Pioneer. It is a bike unit. So we know this is part of the faction that was previously known
I
as
love to try
Squat,
that
we now know
vehicle
as
out.
the League of Votann.
If it really
And this
existed,
is a
I mean.
reinvention of the
It looks
of a
pretty cool.
classic of the classic trike archetype for the squats, basically. So if you are of a certain vintage, you might remember that one of the ways that the squat forces used to ride around the battlefield was on a variety of different bikes and trikes, and this is the reinvention of that for the current era of Warhammer 40,000. It's obviously
Oh yeah, and the
ground
Space
powered, so you can
Wars.
see it's kind of floating around rather than using primitive
Are they
wheels
going
like
to show
some
that?
Imperial chump. And it's absolutely kitted out with some pretty mega
Even
looking
more
weapons as well.
guns?
So you've got a big Gatling cannon on the front of it there, and just in case there is what appears to be a
Yeah, there's a lot of
revolver
stuff on it
shotgun,
already.
which looks like it's going to make a mess.
A little known trope fact is that my first Warhammer 40,000 models, in fact Warhammer models ever, were squats. So seeing the Leagues of Votann emerge, subsume that slightly
Those are
rude
well
identity
painted.
the Imperials have clearly given them,
Thematic
and
particulars make
emerge
of-
as
I
this
see.
culture that we're starting to see build out through these articles and things that we've had.
I
teased
can
is
imagine.
tremendously exciting. I only had one.
I can't see it in
trike
person,
on my
but
league.
I can totally
And I think I'm
imagine.
gonna have
I've seen
more
how the
when
games are
leagues
played.
arrive.
So this would come out as a unit kit. So at the moment we're just seeing one of the models, but you'll be able
Totally
to
a
have
lot more
basically
fun
whole,
if,
hosts of these guys riding around.
If you play them in
Um,
person,
A
you
few
know,
things to note
watching
about the
is
kit.
like
It's a
watching
Hernkin
paint
Pioneer.
dry,
They
kinda,
are
but I
effectively
can
the
see how
scouts
it
and
must be
outriders
super
of the
awesome.
Leagues of Votann.
when you
So
actually
there is a
play.
strong kind of independent spirit of these guys. They're also very independent and self-sufficient. So you can see on the back of the trike they're carrying around their supplies and spades and fuel and stuff like that, and they will range ahead of the rest of the League of Votann force to scout out positions and stuff like that.
There
There's
we go.
also
Okay.
a little bit of an, you can see in the
Then
technology
it does
that
need
looks
more
a little
guns.
bit kind of like some of the Imperial
In
stuff,
that
but
case.
obviously has gone off in a different route.
Some
so.
of the more advanced Adeptus Mechanicus things clearly sort of echo in some of these.
Yes, so-
and it links to that. They've got like STC type tech that clearly still works.
Yep.
And those sort of shared origins when these sort of, I guess, pioneers is a good
Well,
word,
then
but
you
set
know
off into
it.
the stars and sort of disappeared around the galaxy, and now. Like
You have to be
we're
just
seeing
there
what
in the
happens when
moment,
your
you know.
Civilization doesn't decay in the same way as mankind has.
Yeah, the closest thing is probably something like the Castellan robots. They've
That's
got
what I
that
was
kind of
thinking.
slightly curved tech, which obviously predates the Imperium. So the Imperium has very much gone pro box.
Although lights still appear the same, that
There's a
iconic
few
light.
kind of
that
classic STC features. Yeah.
you see them on the front of Rhino tanks and Land Raiders and everywhere else. There's a few things to call out on this for those who are interested. Hernkin Pioneers, as Eddie said, are super self-sufficient, and so this kin, she's extremely heavily armed. She's carrying a bolt shotgun, which is a pretty effective weapon in its own right.
Did
She
he
also
say
has,
she?
which is called a Magna Coil autocannon, which is what you see sort of jutting out beside the what's the word? The bedroll at the front.
Orcify it.
There's enormous shells.
Is that a new
in
word?
The holster for
Orcify.
the bolt shotgun as well. I just love all the toolkits and the stowage.
By the way,
and
guys,
lamp,
totally
and you can
unrelated,
imagine,
but
like,
I started to
well
watch
ahead of
Saitama
the
season
sort of
1
battles
too.
that are fought by the
You have to
armies
expect
that are
that review
fighting,
sometime.
sort of setting the way and picking the sites to fight on and stuff.
Yeah. You did call out as well. This is a female League of Votann. When the League calls for war, the whole family, the whole clan family answers basically. So they'll take all warriors they can when they march to battle.
Yeah, absolutely, and I'm quite excited to see more of that as the.
What a
the
girl
league is
that
unveiling.
is.
But just a super cool model, and there's plenty more of that on the way. So yeah. Exciting times.
Yes, indeed. And we've more or less caught up with where we should be, which is great. The other kin that we've seen so far when we've been looking at the League of Votann was a Hearthkin, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think for me that was the start of something very exciting. As I said, I was a child of squats when they first appeared on the Warhammer 40,000 scene. You are going back 32 years.
Archifice sounds like a blab, sorry man.
I
I really like that word actually.
The
We're
crowd
gonna write it down.
in the chat, all let me just check in.
Gotta make a t-shirt with
34,000
that
of you.
word.
Lots of excitement for these. A lot of people are quite excited to see the Leagues of Votann arrive. So I'm right with you. I can't wait. I just need to know more. All the information about the Leagues of Votann building up to their release as it comes along will be on Warhammer Community. So make sure you check back there on the regular, and I'm sure you'll be kept up to date. Right, so we're doing well. We're a little ahead of schedule. If you've got a question about any of that stuff that we've seen that we haven't answered, blast it in now. Otherwise, we're going to go on. I'm sure there was a question about... Oh, do you know whether or not the other legions like Death Guard and so on can make use of any of those cultists that we saw?
So something like a cultist is already catered for in some of those codexes.
Awesome.
So not everything you can use, but your basic cultists certainly have already got a place in those codexes.
Amazing.
Is
And
this
I'm
going
sure
to be only
as
about
we
figures,
turn
really?
towards the release of Codex Chaos Space Marines, all that information
Come on,
is
guys.
covered in far more detail than we could ever hope to do here. Question: how is the bolt gun different from a Space Marine bolt gun? Oh, you've gotten to one of my favourite subjects in the world, which is the bolt guns of Warhammer 40,000. The first is that they're using a much older design than the Adeptus Astartes are. The Leagues of Votann are descended from pioneer fleets that were settling the galaxy before the Emperor did any crazy stunts on Terra, and so they'll be using older, maybe more reliable designs, and in lots of different patterns as well. So you won't just
Included
see
their
different types
mother-in-law?
of bolt guns, you'll see different types of energy weapons and all sorts.
It's got
They
a
do-
common origin.
Do they
but
even
might
have such a
diversified, or the Imperium might have just forgotten
such a
some stuff.
thing?
Yeah,
So
and
they made it
the
a
bolt
fun-
shotgun's an interesting thing. Do you remember, like, I mean, you might still be able to do it in Necromunda, I haven't checked recently, but you used to be able to load shotguns with sort of jerry-rigged bolt shells back in my dark days of the Underhive, and so I feel like full circle has been achieved with bolt shotguns. I'm very happy about it. How many wounds? I've no idea. Any relation to the Tau Demiurge? Again, I have no idea. Maybe the Codex will cover that in full order. I guess we'll be able to answer some more rules questions as time goes
They don't let us see the rules.
along. I mean, I've
Great.
that's why I knew it was a
4 was
bolt
in there, I
shotgun.
That's great.
Yeah,
Four.
there
Give me
is a
more.
4.
Four in the-
They're very
four
tough.
in the
I remember
rules
being really impressed at how tough they were, actually.
Things get kind of
Thinking they were
puddling.
durable and stuff. Right, I've got the nod from Raf. It is time for our next thing. We are going to talk for a little while about this, Eddie. What is it?
Yeah, so this is chapter approved. So this is news for anybody who's interested in the match play portion of Warhammer 40,000. We've got a little bit of news about the next chapter approved. First of which is to announce that it's on its way, and it will give you what you need to play match play for the second half of 2022. And there are some big things about this which are going to shake up the way that Warhammer 40,000 plays. So probably the biggest change that you'll feel in your games is the way that command points work with this mission pack. So currently, when you play something like 2,000 points of Warhammer 40,000, you get about 12 command points to play with. You will get less command points in this new chapter approved at the start of the game. And what that means, basically, is that you've got to make some tough decisions at the
That's
start of
pretty
the game in
interesting.
terms of how you
Dan.
put your army together, what detachment to use, what upgrades.
I have
and
not
relics you
researched
want to
them,
give to
so
your characters. It
have
also
to
means that you can't
write
put
down
all of your
that
eggs
leak
into
of
a
Votann,
really
because,
big
yeah.
initial first turn mega use of
Yeah, it's
strategy
something
that
that
combo everything on a kind of huge
I have not reached yet
ruffle stomp of your opponent's
in
army.
40k because
However, as the
it's
game goes on,
endless.
you will get more command points in each of the turns. So rather than having only one extra command point in each turn, you'll get more command points as the game goes on. So you can still save up your points and do something big and cool and impressive with a big massive stratagem combo, but you'll need to wait longer in the game to do it.
So
And
once
it
again,
also
this
means
is
that
about
towards
the
the end of the game, where
tabletop.
quite often you find yourself, with no command points left at the top of turn 4 and 5. You will still get to do some cool stuff.
I
at the end of the
can't
game.
imagine what it's like to play the tabletop and having
So
to
it should
buy
mean
all
the
those
game
things if
feels
you
more
are. Otherwise,
immersive
you're
and
like
more
left behind.
exciting, and you can do more cool stuff later in the game, rather than
Then you have to
being
tell me how you
encouraged
feel
to
about all these
put
things.
all
Are
of
you
your
buying
eggs
them?
into
Are
a
you
big, massive
catch it up
first turn
with a
push,
tabletop?
which either works or doesn't, and then the game
How do you go up?
feels like
How are
maybe the
you
last half of the game
going
doesn't.
about this in general? They're
So
releasing
that's
stuff
quite
all the
significant.
time.
That is specific to this mission pack, so that's not a rule necessarily that goes all across Warhammer 40,000. But if you're playing
Demiurge,
match play
that's so
in the second
interesting.
half of 2020 at something like a tournament,
Demiurge.
that's the
Pretty
thing
sure I
about
heard
that.
that
That's what
before
we'll be
somewhere
doing.
Yeah,
else.
absolutely.
So that's pretty big. The other thing that's quite cool for Warhammer 40,000 players is that this book has all of your secondary objectives to use with this mission pack. And what that means is that secondary objectives from the codexes will have been either updated or replaced. So if you've got a codex that's currently out, something like Orcs or Space Marines or Eldari, your secondary objectives will have been tweaked and balanced against each other inside this chapter approved. And if you've got a codex that's not out yet, so something like Astra Militarum or Demons, you have secondary objectives in this chapter approved. So if you've been looking forward, you've got an Astra Militarum army, and your Space Marine opponent always gets to do cool Space Marine stuff, and your Orc opponent gets to do cool Orc stuff. Now you get to do cool Astra Militarum stuff.
Boy.
So you're encouraged to kind of play into the theme of your army. Which
Sounds
is,
super
only a good
complicated.
thing
If you
for
bought
everybody.
this,
and all the stratagems of
I
all
mean,
the
previous book,
secondary
buy
objectives
this.
have been
Oh boy.
able to be balanced against each other because they've all been written at the same time.
Expensive,
So that's pretty cool.
expensive hobby.
And then the last thing that's quite cool about this chapter approved and quite cool for all of match play is that sounds a bit strange, but the book doesn't contain the points, and that's a good thing because the points as of this chapter approved will be free and available online. So what that means is that if you want to play competitive match play and go to things like events and stuff, you can buy this book and all of your missions and all of your secondary objectives are in there. Whereas if you're more of a casual match player and you just want to play at home and kind of, beer and pretzels games as sometimes referred to, and
6
roll some
months?
dice,
That's how I roll.
roll some dice with a friend and use the Eternal War missions out of the core
Takes some
rulebook,
effort
but
to
you do
keep up.
still want to have the
Very hard
latest
to
points to
focus
kind
on
of balance
multiple
your
armies.
army
Jesus.
and take advantage
Especially
of
when
the
you
mission
deal
balancing.
with
The points are
physical
available
things,
to
not
you
like
for
you're
free.
buying
So
a
it's good for everybody,
a
basically. So this book
PC,
has been focused
PC
on
game
making match
or
play great.
or whatever,
if
PlayStation
you're
game.
At a competitive level, and if you want to play at
The
a
game just
casual
updates
kind of
itself.
match play level, then
or you
the
just
points
buy
are
the
available for
DLC
you
or
for free.
something.
So
But
pretty
here it's physical, so
Absolutely. There was a question in the chat.
you have to have a whole room
which I
only
feel
for
the need to
40k, like
ask
a
the
big
same
one,
question
like a
because we were
living room
speculating on it-
size.
Speculating on it ahead of time, and is
Pretty
so
frequent,
that
indeed
is
they are.
Primaris Cato Sicarius in the bottom right of this picture.
I mean, he could have just found himself like
It
an old.
might be an honor guard.
Could have just found himself an old Mark IV helmet and be wearing it so he could feel like he blends in.
Yep. I asked myself the same question before we went live.
Also, there's a bear.
Oh,
like,
thank
far
you,
right.
Dear
I'm not sure what the bear's about.
For the
But
playlist.
No idea.
that's a,
Why is there a bear?
you can have bears. There's loads of bears in the future.
If I ever have a lectern of my own, though, I'm going full double-headed
eagle,
eagle.
yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
It's quite the statement piece, isn't it?
Yes, right. Okay, so chapter approved Nephilim is looking really exciting.
Yep.
And
Yep.
while I don't tend to play match play 40k, and
Getting back in the
tournament
set, guys.
as much as, for example, yourself, you went to one fairly recently. It's fair to say that that's massively popular.
Yeah, I think we know that there's lots of different ways to play Warhammer 40,000, and I think when we have books that lean into a particular way of playing it, they tend to be better than when they try and do a bit for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think if you like competitive match play, that book's great. If you just want to do casual match play, get your points for free,
Yeah.
roll some dice at home, have fun.
Yeah, now, as Eddie said when he was talking, that covers essentially the second half of the year,
Yeah.
so you can expect it sometime summertime, I would guess. Yeah. Awesome. Right. Well, we're doing well. We're a little ahead of schedule, and somebody said, I want World Eaters. Let's see what we can do.
Everyone wants someday, and I want something else, like games.
So the World Eaters are one of the original traitor legions that fell to chaos during the time of the Horus heresy. They are the favoured of the Blood God, the Lord of War, so one of the great chaos gods, his personal servants.
See you later, Dark.
Unlike some of the other traitor legions, they're not really an organised force. There was a famous battle at Scalathrax where the legion was shattered, mainly by a guy called Khan the Betrayer. The clue's in the name. He kind of went mad, killed loads of his erstwhile colleagues, the legion shattered into pieces. In recent
Never
periods
see
of time,
sleeveless Space
increasing
Marines.
numbers of World Eater war bands have been seen across the galaxy, united by particularly powerful warlords. There'll be no surprise to anyone that they're mainly focused on close combat. They're a really aggressive fighting force. In the future, when we really explore them in depth, there'll be a little bit more nuance to some of the way that some of those units will work that will give you a really good play experience. One of the cool things about this project was an opportunity to treat the World Eaters as the faction in their own right. So we've taken them out of the Chaos Space Marines book so that we can give them all the love that they deserve. So what we're going to do is we're going to put some great rules content in White Dwarf to tide people over while they wait for the full World Eaters experience. So our current Khorne Berserker models literally fought the Long War. It's not quite 10,000 years, but they are showing their age a little bit. So we will be doing, as part of the main release for World Eaters later on, a full set of new miniatures, including, of course, new Khorne Berserkers. There'll be all kinds of exciting things released as part of that miniature release. Some of those will be old favourites, but there'll be a few surprises in there as well, and things that maybe people aren't quite expecting.
Okay, so they're going to be on the tabletop, I guess.
First millennium, and I'm excited to see what you all do with the exciting new World Eaters in the future.
Time
Okay.
to Slaughter is coming. Eddie, Stu's given us the lowdown, but what light can you cast onto the forthcoming World Eaters?
So the new Codex Chaos Space Marines has one legion that is conspicuously absent.
Not in it, you
It's
say?
not in it. They're straight up not in it. So the World Eaters are not in the Codex. But don't worry, it's because they are getting a Codex of their own. And if you have had a look at something like the Thousand Suns or the Death Guard,
If you're a
who've
fan,
won
that
the
must be a
legions
long time
recently
coming.
that have transitioned from being part of Chaos Space Marines into being a full-fledged legion on their own. You get a sense of what that means for a traitor legion. So it's a pretty exciting time if you are a Khorne fan, or if you're a World Eaters fan, or you just like taking skulls, because it means
Or
that
eating worlds.
You
Or
mean
eating
that
worlds,
that is
taking skulls, eating worlds.
confirmed?
It means
That
there's loads of
Engron
really
is
cool
also
stuff coming.
confirmed?
So,
That he's coming in the books?
The core.
If they're
the
coming
core
on
of
the
a,
tabletop,
World Eaters army is
is that
obviously
what you
your
mean?
Khorne Berserkers. Khorne Berserkers are one of the longest serving plastic kits that Warhammer 40,000 has, and we are getting some new Khorne Berserkers as part of this this range. So we're not going to have a look at the whole model today, but we're just kind of letting you guys know that these are on the way. And to prove we're not just like making it up, that there's definitely some stuff coming. Here are, what would a Khorne Berserker be without an enormous great chain weapon of some sort, which
He's deeply sad.
he'd be very sad. He'd be raging. He'd be berserk. Here are some of the Khorne axes that are coming out alongside these. So the release is a little way off yet, but the reason we wanted to tell you about it basically is so that you didn't get sad when you saw your legion wasn't in.
Imagine how sad they've been if they'd have opened up Codex Chaos Space
right?
and not been there. But now it can instead be replaced by Simmering Delight.
Absolutely. So there's some stuff coming that you will expect. There's some stuff coming that you can probably guess, and there's some stuff in the new Codex and in the new miniatures range that you will not expect.
Yeah, I know that
exciting
he's
thing.
the World Eater Primarch, yeah.
But if you have a World Eaters army right now, you can still
Yeah, I
use
mean,
it.
yeah, it makes
What's going to
sense.
happen is that you will be able to get the rules for your Khorne Berserkers and for things like Khan the Betrayer and your Legion traits inside White Dwarf, which will come out alongside the Chaos Space Marine Codex at more or less the same time. So put those two things together, and you can still continue to use your World Eaters army. So. Basically,
Yummy,
if you
not
like
yummy,
World
yeah.
Eaters, get excited, because
Yeah,
there's
they
loads of
are.
really cool stuff coming,
And
and we'll
quite
be
a-
following some of those developments on the community site over the coming months.
Very exciting.
More angry
The
Space
chat has
Marines.
largely been filled with people shouting in various ways, blood for the blood god, skull for the skull
I would be
throne,
disappointed if it wasn't.
and other thing. A few people are deeply sad that we didn't announce Emperor's Children, to which I would say, wait your turn. I'm sure
Yeah, Eater
melodious
Chickens, they're
tunes
kind of
will
like
one day be
heavy
played
metal
in. But,
on default.
Ain't no time
I mean,
soon.
by
But
default.
get ready for the rain of blood, because the World Eaters cometh. Well, that's quite exciting, because I do have some World Eaters in a box, just waiting for
I
more
think
friends.
everybody has, if of a certain age, probably has the Khorne Berserkers at some
Do you
point.
have some World Eaters, Raph?
Okay,
Yeah,
guys,
so
quick
that's 3 for 3
stalling.
in this
I
bench.
did have an army at one point before someone sat me
It's
down
really
and told me
liking,
how to do armies. It was
watching
just like as many Khorne
the
Berserkers.
paint
as I
dry.
That
could.
Khorne Berserker's kit has done such
these
global
guys.
beauty
I think
over the years.
I think I had about 80 of them in an army, and that was about it was like a Daemon Prince and then just loads of Berserkers, and that was about it. It wasn't very good, so I'm not recommending that as a particular tactic, but you know, it's quite fun. You just push them across the table and they had a good time.
Running at people with power armored clad
Okay.
brutes and axes is a reasonable
Precious
plan.
time.
Flax and
Precious
nuance, essentially. Right, here we go. Let's. We've talked a little bit about chaos. We've talked a bit about World Eaters. Maybe we should show another chaosy thing.
Yeah.
What? Oh. Whoa. That is nuts. That is so nuts. That's amazing. The designs are
A new
wow.
Demon Prince of Chaos, Eddie.
Yes, so we did see a glimpse of the new Daemon Prince on the Warhammer community website at the end of last week, and the two questions we got were, can we make him into a Warhammer 40,000 Daemon Prince? And the answer is before you.
Emphatically, yes.
You definitely can. That was one of the questions we got, and as you can see, you can absolutely build him as an absolute juggernaut of death for your Chaos Space Marine force, and he has huge amount of utility across Warhammer 40,000 because he shows up in Chaos Space Marine armies, in Thousand Sun armies, in Death Guard armies. He will be able to be used in your World Eaters army. If you are looking forward to having a World Eaters army, you can probably pick this guy up and chuck him in there as well. You can also put him in Chaos Demon armies. So he will be popping up all over the place, and the Warhammer 40,000 incarnation, which is made from the same kit, you can see has loads and loads loads of things that kind of Warhammer 40,000 him up. There's so many options in this kit. You can see they almost look like different models, but they are.
Yeah, it's.
They are. You can. The tactical rock, I think, is the only thing that makes the transition almost unscathed. But there's loads and loads of stuff you can do with this kit. You can tailor it to different legions, to different kind of flavors of chaos. It's got different weapon options.
It's got different feet.
Does
you got hoofed feet or clawed feet?
The video actually had some other options that aren't shown in that shot. So you had like a claw.
Like these.
Yeah, here you go. So you get a claw option in there as well. So you can build him with like a. If you imagine he used to have a power fist and it's kind of made the transition with him into demonhood, he can still kind of grip the hearts of loyalist space marines as he laughs at the fallen emperor.
Yes.
You can build him with different heads.
The design
to
is
the various different gods of chaos. So that was the other big question we got, which was, can you tailor him to be a Demon Prince for different legions, different chaos gods? And you absolutely can.
Detailed.
I think my favourite one is probably the Zinchi one. I've got like a thing for
I
weird
like
bird things.
I like the fact that the corn one is well on its way towards the sort of look of a.
Did they sell these already painted, or you always have to paint them yourself?
I'm not gonna lie, the standard non-specific god-aligned head is pretty dope too.
Yeah, but you can see that they would fit absolutely perfectly in. Obviously, if you've got something like a Black Legion army, you can have your pick of any of the Chaos Gods.
And if you've got any friends who collect non-Chaos armies, you can trade the spare heads for trophies for them. You see?
Yeah.
Look at that. There were a couple of questions that I feel are pretty easy to answer. One of them is, can you put the wings on it if you're using it in 40k? Almost certainly, that's a good idea if you want your demon to fly around the battlefield. And who could stop you?
Yeah, I think one of the things that's nice about kits like this is that there's just so many options, and you can pretty much make the Demon Prince whatever kind of Demon Prince you want. So you go, oh, I want an axe, I want a sword, I want a gun, I want a claw, I want to have a Slaneshi head, a regular head. I want him to look like he used to be a Chaos Space Marine, or if you're playing Warhammer 40,000, you've got a demon army. You don't necessarily have to use the one that's the Chaos Space Marine flavoured one. You could say this is a mortal who's ascended to demonhood, or a demon prince that predates the era of the Horus heresy before the trade to Space Marines. So you can use all the bits basically in Warhammer 40,000.
So another price on top of the other things that are already super expensive.
Yeah, I like it. There was a lot of excitement for the gun arm returning.
Yes, so that's the Kai gun, isn't it? From,
absolutely.
Was it 3rd edition?
I think
Years
you are going
practicing, I just don't see the end of this.
Yes.
I think I still remember the stats.
It is not a hamster cannon.
Three shot strength 6, if I remember. AP3. It was
You can do a similar thing with the action figures as well. The McFarlane ones that are for customization.
Yeah, there was definitely an era where the Slanesh Demon Prince was ruled supreme at the Warhammer.
The process there is also interesting.
I remember meeting one of those in almost every
You definitely
game,
have to
40k. But yes,
paint it such a
so
way
the
that
model
the figure is still able to move.
Like, stunning. It's got incredibly
that
detailed.
too.
You can make it kind of make it your own. I think we were talking before, once we saw the model, that the miniature, the art of the miniature has now reached the point where it can properly replicate some of the kind of completely crazy, weird 40k artwork that's been in the lore for decades.
When you look at the awesome,
I wonder if the same paint is good for 3D printed
conceptual
stuff,
John
by the way.
Blanche, like madness, through to the fully rendered things you see on codex covers and stuff. There's this always been in Warhammer this really sort of detailed, intricate aspect to it. and models like this capture that fully. And it's quite exciting seeing the Warhammer Studios miniatures teams just continue to push and push. And it's not just in things like, you know, the runes along the blade. For me, it's things like the level of detail that goes into the ridges along the top of his backpack. And the rows of spikes jutting out of his forehead and things. I get quite excited, almost emotional about miniatures that come out of the Warhammer studio. So I get pretty darn excited when I see this. I'm trying to see if there are other questions. Somebody said, what size base is it? I actually don't know. I want to say it's a 60mm, but he's a big boy and I didn't write it down. So
you can see the skulls on there. So, yeah, we can probably find out for you guys. But you can see the skulls on the kit will give you a kind of sense of how big this guy is. So he's going to stand taller than the current Daemon Prince, I think, but be of a similar sort of stature, I suppose. I think he looks like a really angry golden demon. Like
you could paint him golden.
You absolutely could. I think actually, if you are a painter and you're just looking for a model to show off your skills,
there's going to be because of the conversion potential to this within, you know, the options within the kit and then the obvious conversions beyond the kit. I think sort of people really lean into the modelling side of the hobby and the
show off your skills. You have a lot of time on your hands, and a lot of money that you don't need.
You know,
I guess. I mean, I'm all about art.
Yeah, you can imagine this guy at the head of a force of Chaos Space Marine possessed, looking absolutely stunning as an army on the battlefield.
Absolutely. So, there we are. We have absolutely rocketed through a whole bunch of stuff. Time for something a little bit different in a moment, which is, of course, Warhammer 40,000 is more than just the models and even more than just the game. Sometimes we explore it through storytelling, and we have a trailer for something coming up.
Show me, show me, show me. What is it? Uh-oh.
Someone must take the throne.
See that too?
I am Ship Mistress Salkin. I would command you.
Livia, you would sacrifice half the ship. I would sacrifice them all.
Finally, new animation.
Vengeance.
Lip syncing is awful, but hope they fix that. Yes, Agents of Death. Origins? Yeah, that's better. That's a lot better in terms of quality of animation. Although, like, fix that lip syncing for crying out loud.
Angels of Death Origins. Adam, what's all this about?
So, if you followed Angels of Death on Warhammer Plus's Warhammer TV, there's quite an impressive cast of characters, and all of them, you sort of join the story mid-action, right? Angels of Death Origins is a chance to go back and through a series of standalone stories, tell some of the origin stories, hence the name of the different characters throughout the cast.
Well, then you have to text me personally
an episode which
for
specifically
that.
Relates
so use
to,
the Discord,
Livia Sorkin, who is the captain of
or use the links down below in the description to contact me.
In there that are
Facebook, Instagram, Twitter,
to, maybe how far back we're
or
going
just Discord.
Space Marine battleships, all of them are crewed by chapter serfs, and they're commanded by
that would be
chapter
amazing
serfs
if you can, of course.
Utterly sworn loyal to the chapters that they represent. So Livia Sorkin comes from a bloodline dynasty of serfs who've served the Angels of Baal, and she's proves to be, through the story of Angels of Death, a really quite impressive commander for the ship. You know,
quite a lot of people's favourite
character. So I'm very torn. I really like Livia, and I think when we so I had the opportunity to be with the Storyforge team as they were sort of ideating
Space Marine too,
and doing the read-throughs and things, and everybody wanted her lines when we were doing the read-throughs because she has so many great contributions to it. Essentially, she commands the ship while the Angels of Death.
Well, they can make a story for whoever else, but okay.
Down on the surface. I think Raf's got some other pictures which maybe will give some context. It might be there we go. So the first thing is Livia Sorkin has quite a scarred face at the time of Angels of Death. So we're jumping back.
This is so much better.
To get to learn a little bit more about her, how she comes to be in charge, and that journey along the way. And what this signifies for me is the opportunity we're going to get to see those the nature of the characters behind it. When you think back to the famous characters, and this is nowhere a spoiler, I'm speculating because I don't know what else is coming. But you have Hadrel, who's this tech priest. He's a tech marine, an amazing character. Maybe we'll get something to his origin. You've obviously got Captain Orfeo. You've got a whole cast of Space Marines, and I would love to have a little bit of a window into each of their sort of why are they like the way they are? How did they get to where they are?
Hey, Jojo.
To see something of.
I am.
Maybe we'll get to see.
That's why I'm
Space
reviewing all the
Marines are
shows
so heroic
each
that
week.
when
Well,
he's essentially
each week is
killed
whenever
in
they decide to
the
post the show, which is not each week. That's the bummer of it.
Massive spoilers.
I would say it's not good at all. Exception
there you go.
of
Somebody
the
says
shows
Hadriel needs a whole
themselves.
season dedicated to him. I couldn't agree more. Hadriel is absolutely my homeboy.
Everything
I
else
love
you
him.
can kind of get on YouTube
and
anyway.
The team behind Angels of Death, this awesome animated series,
So,
in my opinion, have been just hard. at
I'm
work
there to give you the reviews of the
generating,
shows.
These Origins shows. It's going to be a limited series, and I think we'll see the different episodes come out as they're done. And as you can see, the imagery, it still leans really heavily into this wonderful black and white style with sort of red spot colours.
So yeah, you go and check
the Blood Angels
all the shows
themselves,
reviews that I
there's
done.
iconography and lots
Each
of blood,
episode
and then
already.
it lends for
How
a
about
really
about our
stylistic image.
Angels of Death
Alright,
first season?
somebody says, Adam, talk more into the mic.
Now the
What
usual
you can't see is that I'm
interrogator.
leaning close into the picture and getting
Excite.
very excited. This one,
And everything
this
that's gonna
one
come
story
in the
is
future.
near, and then there'll be more coming down the pipe. I think if you haven't watched Angels of Death, I haven't spoiled it too far. You should definitely go onto Warhammer TV
okay.
and give it a watch.
But there are like 3
It's an
episodes of
excellent
Exodus.
story
So sad.
that sort of tells a really
So sad.
cool
I just
mission.
can't believe it.
Blood Angels
It's
sort of
ridiculous.
find themselves a little out of their element and having to triumph over some pretty
They
incredible.
literally ended in the
Couple
middle
more
of
bits,
everything.
about the origin as well, worth saying. So slightly longer episodes.
Oh, yeah, fair.
Individually as well. So one of the things that lots of people have been asking for
That's
with
good.
Warhammer Animations is if we can have some slightly longer episodes, basically. So I think the first one is due to clock in at something like 25 minutes. So it's going to feel
Oh, that's
like a fairly
good.
hefty, piece of viewing. So that should be pretty cool.
That's better,
and,
yes.
The other thing is that we're hearing rumblings that season 2 is in the works as well.
That would be rad, wouldn't it?
Cool. So it's not just the origins we've got to look forward to. We can also look ahead to what the next thing for the Angels of Death might be as well. So if you enjoyed season 1, and I certainly did.
Yeah, I'm with you.
I was
Well,
rooting
yeah.
for Gene Steelers, to be honest, but we can't win them all.
There's a lot
but
to
yes,
be
season two
desired,
should be
but yes,
Very
I
nice.
did enjoy it.
Big shout out for Interrogator. Have you seen Interrogator 1 and 2 yet?
I've seen 1.
Oh, so
2 I think is live today.
perfect.
I still have to
so
watch episode 2 and make a review of
Interrogator
it.
a lot behind the scenes, and
I was about to
that
before the
series is
stream,
like,
and I
I'm
just couldn't
really in love
manage.
with Interrogator as a
It's 12
as a
minutes.
show. So if you haven't watched Interrogator yet, also get on and watch that because the second episode is up today and it's mega. Right, there we go. So we come to the end of our reveals for day 1 of Warhammer
And
Fest.
okay,
A quarter of the way. So what it would be worth doing is if you've joined late and didn't see what we've shown so far, we'll do a quick summary
Last
of all the
review
cool
on
things. I'll
that.
keep my eye out for any questions that may pop up in the chat. Somebody's saying, is that it? Is that it? If by is that it you mean, is that 54 minutes of awesome Warhammer? Then yes, you're darn right. Let's
It's only a freaking tabletop animation, damn it. Wanted a lot more animation.
coming back
It's
on.
almost certainly worth coming back on Friday when we have some more stuff for our skirmish games, including Kill Team, which obviously has double duty in
Well, if there's
Warhammer
no more
40,000.
animation,
And if you like
then
Space
I
Marines,
want to know about the Black
and odds are, if
Library,
you're watching a Warhammer 40,000 preview at Warhammer Fest,
new stuff, new
you probably
books.
do quite like Space Marines. Odds are good.
I'm here.
You should probably come back on Saturday as well to watch some of the stuff we've got for Horus Heresy.
The Horus Heresy, yes. And to be fair, I would just pop along anyway because there have been a lot of people calling for more kin.
The Horus Heresy, if that was animation,
There's loads of
God,
things,
that was
to be
animation.
seen. Do come back. But
Would
before
be
we
the
leave,
best
let us
things.
summarise what we've seen. Say you were late to the party and missed the beginning. Raph, when I hit the slides. So the first thing that we started with was this reveal
Yeah.
for loads of new kits.
Okay, guys,
Which is wending its way towards us. Here we
I'll
have
lower this so you can hear me better. So, here's the thing. The other days, there's nothing to cover really, unless you are a fan of Age of Sigmar, which I am not. And, well, it's all about the tabletop, and the Horus Heresy too about the tabletop. So if there's any new Black Libraries releases, that's the one thing that is most interesting to me. And I just cannot wait for that. And I'm going to cover that. Any new books that are announced, I'm going to cover that. I just have to find out when that's gonna be it, because it doesn't seem to be very clear. If you know, well, let me know. So I can tune into that. If there's anything on the 6th of May, which, like I said, is just going to be my name day. It's a big celebration in Bulgaria. It's St. George Day, and it's also non-working day. And it's also the premiere of, Doctor Strange. That's what I'm going to be doing in the afternoon. Then bring the review of the movie, all of that. So that is what you can expect. I mean, for me, the way that I see it, the only thing that I can do is just cover the books, basically. And now I just want to let you know where I am with the book. So I'm like almost at the end of Eisenhower, but haven't finished it yet. I want to make a review of the book, when I do. But because there's news in that Throne of Light book, I want to finish that as soon as possible. So I like it 30% into the book. It's a long book, like all 40k novels are. So getting through that Throne of Light book, and then I'm going to do a review, talk about what the Black Templars did. No spoilers. Just going to say that. So that's the current plans. And right now, go and watch the new episode of Interrogator, so I can bring you the review of that, guys. So yeah, Friday's coming, yes. So that's gonna be it for me, guys. Hope you enjoyed this coverage, although there's not a lot on the tabletop. Probably going to separate this review of the Angels of Death prequel animation and reaction and post on YouTube to make it easier for you guys to find that. That with that being said, guys, so thank you so much for watching, and see you on the review, basically, of the Interrogator next Warhammer 10 comic. So guys, just a sec to see where that was. Yeah, the window capture. So thanks, guys, and until very, very soon. Love ya.